You cannot tell us this is secure when more than 42% of gotaways come through here. You cannot tell us this border is secure when now there is enough fentanyl in this country to kill every single American more than 20 times over. This has all got to change. That's our commitment, and that's what we'll make happen. I want to bring up the congressman newly elected from here, Juan Ciscomani, who put this trip together, who brought in people from all sides of the issue to sit and talk to us so we can hear the real problems. But the real goal here is to find solutions, and that's exactly what we're doing. I'll give you Congressman Juan Ciscomani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you for being in CD6. I want to have a special thanks to Speaker McCarthy for making this his first trip to the border as Speaker of the House. That's immediate action that you're seeing from the new majority of Republicans in the House of Representatives. I also want to thank my colleagues from Wisconsin, from Oregon, and from Virginia. You may wonder why these states, why are they here? Well, they have amazing backgrounds and they want the same things that we want. We want to find results for this issue of the border crisis, specifically around the area of fentanyl. We just sat in a round table that we heard from mayors, from elected officials on the county side, from law enforcement, from Border Patrol, from sheriffs, from ranchers, private sector, business owners, and they all have the same feeling about this. It's a crisis that is impacting everyone in different ways. And when my colleagues got to speak in this roundtable, they are facing very similar situations. I've been saying for some time now that this is not just a border state issue anymore. Every state in the country has become a border state with this fentanyl crisis because it's impacting our communities in different ways. And when we sat around that table, there were Republicans and there were Democrats alike, and we all agree on the issue that this is causing and on the solutions that we need to find. So we are here to do exactly that, not to play any kind of politics with this, but to find real solutions that will start saving lives. And that's exactly what the problem is. When we can't control this border, we cannot control lives, and that directly impacts the American dream that so many people are pursuing. Myself included, as an immigrant myself, my family immigrated to this country as well. We know about the fight of the American dream. And this fentanyl crisis is directly impacting and literally killing that American dream for hundreds of thousands of Americans in this country. And we need to stop that. I'm going to share a few words in Spanish as well for our Spanish networks. Quiero dar las gracias al Speaker McCarthy por estar aquí con nosotros, tomando este viaje como su primer viaje como presidente de la Cámara para visitar aquí la frontera. Y de todos los lugares donde podía haber venido, vino aquí al Distrito 6 en la frontera de Arizona. Eso demuestra el valor que le damos a este tema y también a mis colegas que vienen de diferentes estados como Wisconsin, Oregon y Virginia, que están aquí porque los mismos temas que nos afectan aquí a nosotros con respecto al fentanilo también afectan a ellos en otras partes del país. Esto no es solamente un tema de Arizona o de la frontera, es un tema que impacta a todo el país entero. Y es tiempo que encontremos soluciones. No se trata de demócratas o republicanos, se trata de encontrar soluciones que sean viables y que empiecen a salvar vidas. Esta crisis del fentanilo está matando a nuestros hijos, está matando a nuestros ciudadanos y necesitamos tener una solución para esto. Y que vamos a tener una rueda de mesa con granjeros del área, con agricultores, con policías, que todos tienen el mismo sentimiento de que necesitamos hacer algo para parar esto, independientemente cuál es nuestra afiliación política. Y les quiero dar las gracias por el interés y es hora de encontrar soluciones para este tema. Con eso me gustaría introducir al dueño de esta propiedad, John Ladd. With that, I would like to introduce who is hosting us here in his property, Mr. John Ladd, a rancher, a fourth-generation rancher that his family has owned this property since before statehood. So if somebody knows what's going on and the trends that have happened in this area, is Mr. John Ladd. John?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm John Ladd. I'm humbled and honored to host the delegation that's here. I think it's a new beginning with the status of Washington.
Tracking and reconciling business expenses across multiple systems can be disjointed.
We talk about the fentanyl. We talk about the number of people that are coming to this country. But it's a national security threat. And I think America understands it, but they better wake up and get behind this group of congressmen coming from Washington. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm indebted to the Border Patrol. I think everybody needs to appreciate Border Patrol, law enforcement. Our Cochise County Sheriff has implemented several new programs down here that have allowed me to stay in business raising cattle. We've been dealing with this far too long, and I'm very hopeful that this is the beginning of a new change in what we're seeing out of Washington. Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce my good friend and colleague from Oregon, Lori Chavez Dreamer.
Thank you, Juan. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. And again, I want to thank my colleague, Juan Ciscomani, for inviting us. Why would I step foot in Arizona from Oregon? And I'll tell you why. Because we are the solution makers in Washington, D.C. now. I was a former mayor of Happy Valley, Oregon for 8 years. I sat before the group today at the round table, and I listened to mayors, and I listened to the supervisors, and I listened to Border Patrol. And if you could have heard their voices, they're shaking. They're not sure what to do. They've lost hope. My message to them was, don't give up on your people. Please, don't give up on us. We're here to make a difference. Fentanyl is attacking the streets of Oregon. We had our largest drug bust in Oregon's history in my district this past year. It would have killed 4.5 million people. That is more than the population of Oregon as a whole. Why am I here? Not only to support my colleagues, not only to get this under control. We all ran on border security. It is our job. We will help. Help is on the way. I am very proud to stand here with you today. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing us to come out here and go to every state. And with that, I would like to introduce my dear friend, Representative Jen Kiggins from Virginia, too.
Thanks so much, and it's a great honor to be here with all of you today, and thanks to my colleague Juan for inviting us down here and to Speaker McCarthy for taking the time. I represent Virginia's 2nd Congressional District, which is the home of some of our nation's servicemen and women, and I ran for Congress because I wanted to help restore American strength. I see an administration that's not focused on strength, that's focused on weakness. And our enemies are watching, and I'm worried that our enemies are not fearing us anymore and that our friends aren't trusting us anymore. National security is very important to me. It's important to all of us. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's an American issue. And we're seeing a border right now that is weak, that is inviting illegal immigrants to come across, and it's putting our families at risk. And the stories we've heard today from mayors and from sheriffs and from Border Patrol agents, their families are at risk too. These guys put their lives on the line every single day to look out for us and to protect us from a group of people that doesn't care about our families and doesn't care about our safety. So as a mom of 4, as a Navy veteran, my country's important, our security is important, but our families are so important. So we've got to start supporting our Border Patrol agents. This group of freshmen that's here is so focused on finding solutions. That's why we're here today, because we actually want to get things done in Congress. That's why we ran for office, and that's why we're here to learn. So thank you so much to all of you who took time today to share our message. And with that, I'd like to also introduce another fellow Navy veteran of mine, Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Jen. John, thanks for having us on your land. I appreciate it greatly. Juan, thanks for having me down. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Yeah, I came down here for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, to thank the men and women of our Border Patrol. They're literally working on the front lines, protecting us, and it's up to them to make sure that we are safe, and they're just not getting the help that they need from the Biden administration. It's the policies of the Biden administration that have led to this crisis. The second reason I came up here to put these things into perspective, there's been 4.6 million apprehensions on the border since Joe Biden has taken office. There's been 1.2 million gotaways. You add that up, that's 5.8 million people. That is the entire population of the state of Wisconsin has either been interdicted or entered this country illegally since Joe Biden has taken office. That's unsustainable, and it is absolutely unacceptable. We've had 3 pounds of fentanyl interdicted in La Crosse, Wisconsin, 12 pounds in Appleton, right outside of my district. That's enough to kill hundreds of thousands of people. And talking to everybody here, it just wasn't like that 2 years ago. So I'm calling on the Biden administration today. Secretary Mayorkas, do your damn job. Enough is enough. So again, thank you so much for having me down here, John. I appreciate it greatly. I'm going to find out how big your herd is later. And with that, I'd like to bring Speaker McCarthy back up.
Well, I want to thank these group of freshmen for spending the time coming down here to actually learn. They sat and listened to community leaders. They heard stories from the sheriff that his jail was only 5% full of arresting individuals, of Americans who are helping illegals come across. Now it's 45%. No federal money comes in. I listened to mayors represent both parties, fearful of what's happening in their city, the high-speed chases, the challenges that they see coming across, the fear that you have in a county that a Mexican cartel is the biggest employer. You don't feel safe in your own nation. The saddest part about all of this, the Mexican government doesn't know which of their citizens are leaving their country. The American government does not know who's coming into our country. But there's one entity who knows both, the Sinaloa cartel. They know exactly who's coming across and who's entering. They also know what's in the backpacks, the drugs to kill Americans. Today, more than 300 Americans will be poisoned and died from fentanyl. You're looking at a place that much of it comes through. Tomorrow, there'll be 300 more. That's the equivalent of an airline crashing. If an airline crashed in America every single day, by the third day, the entire nation would wake up and say, we need to fix the problem. Well, I promise you this. The new majority in Congress, we're going to fight to fix this problem. No longer will the Democrats be able to ignore the issue and act like it's not happening. We will have hearings on the border. It's the responsibility of all members to attend. Those who come to testify will come from both sides of the aisle, and they will tell the truth of what's happening, just as we heard today. This has got to stop. And it starts with the Secretary of Homeland. Stop lying to the American public. Tell them the truth of what's happening, and change back the regulation that we had before so our border can be secure. With that, let me open up for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Republicans that want to remove Mayorkas from his office, are you still looking to do that? Is that a plan? Is one of those?
The Republican plan is to secure the border. We want to know why the border got so out of control. So we want to know the actions of Mayorkas. Wherever that takes us will take us. Yes.
You said you wanted to go back to the border. What are Republicans going to do?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Hyundai Santa Fe versus Honda Passport. Hyundai Santa Fe.
Okay, let's see. The Republicans have been in office for 40 days. The committees have just now been constituted. Not all of them have even been constituted yet. So I don't think it's a really opportunity to say you haven't acted yet. No, we're here at the border. It didn't take us 40 years to come here, less than 40 days. This isn't my first trip. This is my 6th trip, my first trip as a speaker. I haven't seen the Democrats come. We have energy and commerce along the border right now in Texas. We have Homeland Security scheduling a meeting to come down here as well. So no, Republicans have been taking action. We've got a lot of ideas inside Congress. It's different than the Congress before. We're just not going to write the bill and put it onto the floor. We're going to listen to the people that are on the border. We're going to listen to border agents. We want the very best ideas. And we're going to be challenged. Yes, we're moving it now, just as we bring our committee down here and we gather the information, because we want to do it right.
Speaker McCarthy,
yes.
Former President Donald Trump threatened Mexico with the tariff if they didn't do their part to secure the border when he was in office, and we did see this problem, it got better. Now, I'm wondering, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to do something similar, or how are you going to hold Mexico accountable for their part?
Well, I'm not President of the United States, but the one thing I can be is Speaker of the House. I could change legislation and put it into law. Because right now, what has changed from President Trump to President Biden, there has been no legislation change. But why has this region gone from 66,000 people coming across to 250,000? Why is everybody who comes across here wear camouflage outfit and rugs on their feet? Why are we catching so much fentanyl? The only thing that changed was the administration and the administration policies. So if you want to stop fentanyl, the first call you should make is to President Xi. It's exactly what I told President Biden inside the Oval Office the other week. Call President Xi and tell him to stop the chemicals coming down. If you want to stop the cartels, you got to be serious about it. These are terrorist organizations. Call them as such and take the action to stop them. They are making billions of dollars. They are human trafficking. What John told you, the rancher, he did not mention. His family has found 14 dead bodies on his ranch in just the last couple years. Those are human bodies. He tells the story of his grandson smelling the body. It is different from a dead cow. Why is that happening? Because the administration's policies that is allowing it to happen. The administration, on the day President Biden was sworn in, when you look at the gaps in the wall, why are they there? Why are these lights wired but not working? Because we got a new president that said to stop it. We paid for the metal to go up, but it's stored far away. There's gaps that allow it to come in. That's wrong. Why are they having Border Patrol agents becoming processing agents and taking away from the job they want to do? That continues to harm the cartels able to watch and take advantage of it. So more drugs come into America that kill Americans. That has got to stop.
Speaker McCarthy, can
Yes.
you talk about why Arizona for this visit, the last three as Republican leader, you went to Texas. Why did you want to focus on this region? And why these 4 Republican members instead of adding congressional?
That's a great question. I've gone through Texas. This is a different area, but it's also a border area. The people who come across here, as I said, wear camouflage outfit. Show me one that doesn't. Because the Sinaloa cartel controls it. When the agents come up to find them, they don't just find the agents like they do in Texas and say, let me in. They run from them. They don't want to be caught. This is not families coming across here. More than 70% are single males. The terrain is much more difficult, but they come. And you know what? Americans go up in helicopters and rescue them when they fall. They risk their own lives 2,900 times in the last year. But what we're watching on this border right now, the increase, it's now the 3rd highest. It used to be the 5th and 6th. We're watching more fentanyl come across. But we also have a new member here, Juan Ciscomani, who understands what immigration means, who immigrated at age 11 from Mexico here for a better life. He understands the greatness of America that gave him an opportunity to be a member of Congress. He understands the importance of finding a solution. These are new voices, new people. Take a look at who they are.
Speaker,
I'm not finished. Jen Kiggins. Jen Kiggins is from Virginia. She served this nation in the Navy as a helicopter pilot. Her husband's an F-18 pilot. Her son's in the academy. She watches that the border may be far away, but no longer is it that far. That every city in America is now a border city, because that's where the fentanyl comes. Derek Van Orden, a Navy SEAL, who risked his life to defend this nation in Afghanistan and others. He understands how technology helps you protect the border. But he's watching this administration, as we came out here today, to actually take away blimps that he saw in Afghanistan, give you the eyes to go miles away to protect us. But the administration is cutting it. Why? Well, some people will argue that if you cut it, you won't know the number of people coming across. So in the next month, you could say the number's lower. That doesn't mean less people entered the country. It just means the data may be different. You're playing politics. Lori Chavez DeRemer, who understood, one, serving her nation as a mayor and finding solutions. This is a unique group that came, but this is a group that cares about solutions. And this is a group that sat down, listened to people on all sides of the aisle, and now wants to go back and solve the problem. I thank you very much. Have a good day. Oh, you want Juan Ciscomani?
Representative Ciscomani, sorry about that. I just really wanted to interview.
Sure.
So in Pima County, just last year, at least $1 million was spent on taxis to transport migrants and asylum seekers here. So I'm just wondering, like, is there anything you're going to do about that? And just why do us American citizens have to pay for that? And I'm not talking about, food and shelter. I'm talking about just $1 million on transportation.
That's a great question, and with that expense, there are many other expenses. We heard from a county supervisor today with the exact same concern. Why do the counties or the municipalities have to foot the bill for what the federal government should be doing? This is a federal government issue. That's one of the main reasons why I ran. You know my background. I worked with the state of Arizona for 80 years, and I knew that this was a federal issue, and it should be a federal expense and a federal fix as well. So we need to absolutely find that solution. Part of it is fixing the problem in terms of adding more technology, which is what exactly, if John Ladd would answer this for you as well. He said that he would take the technology even over the wall itself because of what that does. But also we need the agents. But it was also mentioned that when you have all that and you talk to a Border Patrol agent and they tell you that they cannot apply the current laws, that they're not being able to enforce them because of direction from the top, that's a problem. So that is how you seal the issue to prevent more of these expenses to come down. And then the federal government should step up. And that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at as part of the Appropriations Committee.
Sabemos que usted dice que esto no es algo político, sin embargo, en esta comitiva no viene ningún demócrata, vienen los republicanos, llegan hasta la frontera. ¿Por qué aquí y a corto plazo qué se va a hacer para solucionar esta problemática?
A corto plazo lo que necesitamos hacer inmediatamente es empezar a invertir más recursos en el tema de la frontera. Mucho de lo que están viendo aquí en estos postes y toda la tecnología está ahí, está listo. Sin embargo, cuando entró el presidente Biden, todo esto paró. Las soluciones no son fáciles, pero son bastante sencillas en el sentido de que las sabemos y necesitamos empezar a aplicarlas de una manera inmediata. Está ahí la solución. Y eso se trata de seguridad fronteriza. Es un tema diferente de migración. Y es algo que quiero siempre tener claro que estamos aquí separando. Estamos hablando de la crisis del fentanilo, de la actividad criminal que sucede en la frontera. No estamos hablando de una reforma migratoria. Ese es un tema separado y necesitamos hablarlo de una manera separada también. Y estoy muy orgulloso de mis colegas republicanos que han venido aquí. Espero que haya un interés genuino también de mis colegas demócratas. Sé que de muchos lo hay, no de todos. Es lo que es la cosa bastante desafortunada. Pero estoy dispuesto a trabajar con los dos lados para encontrar una solución, porque todos somos afectados por eso, independientemente si somos republicanos o demócratas.
Thank you, everyone. We really gotta go.
¿Qué podría comentar al respecto? ¿Podría hacer un breve comentario sobre lo que piensa de esta situación?
Disculpa, una pregunta más. ¿Cuál es la pregunta?
Sobre la situación con el secretario Mayorkas, su punto de vista sobre qué pasos se podrían tomar respecto a lo que...
Bueno, gracias por la pregunta. Quiero tomar esta oportunidad para invitar al secretario Mayorkas a que venga a ver lo que vimos nosotros hoy aquí, que hable con las personas que hablamos nosotros, y espero que eso cambie su opinión de hacer algo respecto con este tema de la frontera. Él necesita enterarse de lo que está pasando y tomar acción. Él y el presidente Biden son los que tienen el más poder para poder solucionar este tema. I'm going to translate that answer in English because I want everybody to understand this. She asked about Secretary Mayorkas and how we should hold him accountable. This is exactly what we should be focusing on. I invite Secretary Mayorkas to the border and to come see exactly what the speaker and my colleagues saw here today. Something I know well because I've lived in this community. I know this community well. This is where I grew up. I know about it. But we need him to see it. There are two people that can really have an immediate impact on the situation in this country, and that's President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas. And they both have failed, and they have shown no interest in fixing this issue. So I invite him here to the border to see what we saw today, talk to the people that we talked to today, and realize what impact this is having in our communities. Again, one thing that I clarified in Spanish as well is that we're not here talking about immigration reform. We're here talking about border security. These are two different issues, and we need to deal with them separately. Today was about border security and the fentanyl crisis that is coming from the lack of activity and application of the law that the Biden administration is failing at. Thank you very much.